with everybody now. Hey, Doug Veg Radio on AM 950, Progressive Voice of Minnesota. The Head and the Heart, a little hipster band. Soon to be wearing denim on denim. Singing this little song called Sounds Like Hallelujah for the first time. Hey, we were chatting a little bit about evangelism because I wrote this book on evangelism. I wasn't planning to talk about this at all.
Yeah,
If you look at the talk sheet, I mean, this is totally accidental. Yeah, this is not just sheer promotion.
No, this is happening as it's.
This is not suggesting that you should go over to Amazon.com right now and purchase a copy of Evangelism in the Event of Age.
ISBN number is.
If you were, my life would be a little bit better. You would have done someone a very fine service today.
Right. You know, listeners, it's time to pay back.
Yeah, it's time to give back. Yeah. Stop paying it forward.
Right.
Start giving a little kickback.
Yeah.
Hey, I was thinking about our conversation here over the break of evangelism, and my suggestion is that evangelism, from the perspective of the evangelist, should always be partnering with the person in what's going on in their life. It's a partnering thing. And I went on my first partner run today.
Oh, right.
I went running. I've started running. I'm going to run a half marathon. And then from there, who knows? Who knows? I heard this story about this guy that ran a marathon every day for a year.
Yeah.
Like, well, maybe I'll do that.
Is he still alive?
I thought maybe I'd get to the half marathon first. So today I ran the furthest I've ever run, which was 9.5 miles. And I ran with a partner, Danielle, a lovely gal. And we run at different paces.
Because she is 4'9", and
I don't see size. I think we live in a sizist world, you people, and I just want to ignore it.
And you are 6'11".
Yeah, it might be stride. I like to think maybe it's a whole set of things. I don't want to limit people simply to size and the sizist world of you.
You want to pick on a different weakness, is what you're saying.
We run at different paces, and we ran together today. And when we got all done, we're using the fancy device that I have on my iPhone. It tells us how far we ran, how high we were, and our elevations and declines and so on, and our average paces. And the average pace that we ran today was faster than she would have done on her own, and slower than I would have done on my own. So we shared that. That's it. That's the picture of it.
Right.
That evangelism is this mutuality. It's this running together. It's this engaging with one another. And if all of us, in whatever we're evangelizing someone on, I mean, it's political thought that you're evangelizing someone around, if it's trying to evangelize someone to join in your health attempts and your health perspectives, if it's trying to get someone to leave the Droid behind and go to the iPhone, I don't care what it is. It doesn't much matter. It's the same endeavoring that we invite people to be these authoritative figures in our lives when they join with us. And all of us have a little bit of a different personality about who we choose to invite into our lives, who we allow in, who we say, you have some authority to speak into my life in an authoritative way. So today, running with Danielle, when we started running next to one another, we were saying to one another, we're going to work this together. We're going to decide together how far and how fast we're going to go. And I think that's the picture of how this ought to be. I have this friend that I heard speak this week, and he said something really intriguing. I heard him in a presentation where he stands up in front of people and gives them a talk, And I heard this really intriguing notion that he raised. He said, look, when you ask people who are not involved in religion, especially in the Christian religion, if they're not involved in the Christian religion, what do you think of Christian people? They will very often say, well, they're not very loving. And my friend said, I got to tell you, he's a professional religious guy. He said, I look at budgets of religious people. I think they're loving. I look at the programs people engage in. I think they're loving. I look at how they spend their personal money, how they spend their personal efforts, what they do with their lives. I think they're loving. He said the problem isn't that they're not loving. The problem is they don't like people. They love them, but they don't actually like them. They don't want to spend time with them. They don't want to get to know them. They want to say, I want to do this loving thing for you, but I don't actually want to know you and love you. And he goes on to say, if you look at the life, because as a Christian, he would say, if you look at the life of Jesus, the thing that the religious people were condemning Jesus about, one of the many things was, he likes to hang around with sinners. He likes those people. He likes, and by sinners, they don't just mean they didn't meet a religious requirement, but they were culturally different. Because sin very often in the Bible has something more to do, not with just offending God, but with violating some sort of a cultural norm. So you've committed some sort of a sin by eating the wrong fish or wearing the wrong clothing or saying the wrong words, these kinds of things. And Jesus is highly condemned for being someone who didn't just love, but he liked the wrong people. And so my friend's suggestion was, You know what we need to work on is not our reputation as being loving. We need to work on our reputation of being liking. That we should care what other people who aren't into Christianity care about, rather than treating the person as if there's some inherent value, because loving someone is to recognize the inherent value and trying to bring about the very best in that person. So you could recognize the inherent value in someone, but not like them. And there's a word that some Christians, or a little phrase that some Christians use around this, which is, I love the sinner, but I hate the sin. That stuff, which is basically, I love the sinner, but I just don't like anything that you're about. The stuff you do, I don't like that. And essentially, I don't like the way of your life. And I would have to agree that the problem that Christianity faces in North America is not a deficiency in love as much as it is a deficiency in liking and being on the side of and cheering on people who are different than us, who think differently. And that's why I would suggest that one of the things we have to have in our lives is not that we say we're wrong about everything, but that we're always recognizing how incomplete we are, that you really do need that person.
Hey, Doug, how do you think the what is at stake? Okay, the depth and intensity of what is at stake. Okay, for most Christians, it's hell. Okay, and so because they feel it is their obligation to communicate Jesus to the sinner, because if the sinner doesn't accept Jesus, they're going to go to hell. Okay, that's what's at stake. Okay, and let's try to apply that, to other things. Whether it's selling an iPad or health insurance or whatever. How much does the intensity of what is at stake affect the behavior of the evangelist?
I think almost entirely. But here's where I would recast that a bit.
Okay,
I would say, I don't think the real what's really at stake is the eternal destiny of the person. I think what's really at stake for many of the evangelists of the conversion variety is their ability to be the one who holds the keys of life and death. That really what's at concern is, if my view of eternity isn't right, then what do I have to compel you?
Yeah.
So it's really not about where do you end up in that kind of equation. It's really, then what value do we have to contribute? It's really an existential problem. It's really an issue, existentialism, saying your very life, the very value and significance and meaning of your life. So the problem with religious evangelists is that the consequence of them being wrong is that they have nothing to offer.
Yeah.
So I really think the problem is that people want to have something significant to contribute. And I know a lot of people that are hardcore into the conversion kinds of evangelism, and we can chat about this more after the break, but I really do think that that's how this comes about, is the person having to say of themselves and to themselves and to the other person, I am a person who has value to contribute to your life.
Oh.
And let's ratchet that up as high as we can, because if we can make it about the afterlife, you can never prove that I don't have the ability to turn you in the most important ways. But it's really a power issue.
But I have more than my message to give to you.
Doug Pagitt Radio on AM 950 and DougPagittRadio.com and AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.